Hello, learners. I have come to you today with the characters of the fiction A Passage to India, written by Forster. I have divided the characters into two sections. One is the English characters, and the second is the Indian characters. Today, I'd like to talk about English characters. Among English characters, at the very outset, I'd like to mention the name of Mrs. Moore. Mrs. Moore is the mother of Ronnie Heslop, the city magistrate of Chandrapur, and Professor Fielding. He is the principal of Chandrapur Government College, and Adela Questet, another character, very important, one of the important characters, and Mr. Turton, the collector of Chandrapur, and Mr. McBride, the police superintendent of Chandrapur, Mr. Calendar, the civil surgeon of Chandrapur Government Hospital, and two other lady characters, Mrs. Turton and Mrs. Calendar. The most important English character in this novel, A Passage to India, is Professor Fielding. And I'd like to tell something about him first. Mrs. Fielding is the creation of E.M. Forster, where he has reflected his own character. Mrs. Fielding is a professor of Chandrapur Government College as well as the principal. He has an opportunity to be associated with the people, common people of Chandrapur. He is a man who is in a convenient position to watch the condition of the people of Chandrapur under the British rule. And he is always a man having a humanitarian sentiment and ground. And that is why the common people of Chandrapur love him very much. The central character of this novel is Dr. Aziz, an Indian doctor who is a close friend of Professor Fielding. As I told you, Professor Fielding is a man of humanity, and he is not like other British officers working in Chandrapur in different capacities in different government offices. And that is why he is always found isolated from the typical British officers of Chandrapur. And Professor Fielding realizes one thing, that in order to continue the British rule in India in a very peaceful manner, there should have been good friendship between the native people and the British colonial power. And that is why from his level, he has been trying a level best exactly to make friendship with the Indian people. And Dr. Aziz is one of his best friends in Chandrapur. The second lady character is Mrs. Moore. She is also a lady of humanitarian ground, though she is a sharp contrast, particularly in character, from her beloved son, Ronnie Heslop, the city magistrate. She came to India with two purposes. One is to make the matrimonial relation between her son, city magistrate Ronnie Heslop, and the lady comes from India, Adela Questet. It was her two purposes for which she has come from England to India. And she had a mind to watch India in a very close quarter. She had a dream about India. But thing is that she has been disappointed when she had come to Chandrapur to see the utter mismanagement and the dismal picture. She could understand within a very short time that there is a difference of opinion between the native people and the English officers working in Chandrapur. The collector is the chief executive officer of the subdivision, and it is his sole duty exactly to make a bridge friendship and cooperation between the British and the native people. Tartan could feel it, but he has been failed to do it because Uh, from the very beginning, it was not possible. When he came to India 2 years ago, he was a very complete gentleman, showing very friendly attitude, friendly gesture to the common people, to the ordinary people living in Chandrapur. But after 2 years, Turton had been found a changed man. It has already been mentioned by Mahmud Ali, one of the friends of Dr. Aziz, who is an advocate in Chandrapur court. Why the British officers have been found changed coming to India? Because there is an optimum decision. There is a decision from the apex level, from the optimum level of the British officers in India, that the British officers should work with a certain kind of distance from the native people, so that the native people should have a fear about the British officers working in India. Otherwise, if there is a good friendship between the British and the native people, the rule of administration cannot be continued. There should be a difference between the ruling class and the subordinate class or the subjugated class. That means the native people. And that is why, after coming to India, almost all the British officers exactly changed their mind, and they started showing a relation between the native and the English, the relation between the ruler and the subjugated people. But Principal Fielding and Mrs. Moore did not believe in this sort of norms, in this sort of manner of showing attitude to the native people. Mrs. Moore believes in humanity. She believes in humanity, and not only that, she is not satisfied to see the behavior of her son to the common native people of Chandrapur. And she advises her son to change his behavior to the common people, because common people expect cooperative behavior from the rulers. But Ronnie Haslop, her son, does not follow the advice of his mother. He disclosed to mother that it is not possible on his part, because it is the directive from the apex level exactly to continue this sort of behavior. Ronnie Haslop explains this to his mother, that if he is found lenient to the behavior with the people of India, with the people of Chandrapur, it will not be better for his career. And he has to maintain a certain kind of status, the status between the ruling class and the subjugated class. It should be maintained by the British officer. Mrs. Moore was simply surprised to see the change of her son. Her son in England was not so. He was a boy of amiable character, amiable behavior, soft in nature. But in India, she has seen her son a complete changed man, a typical bureaucrat, a typical representative of the colonial power. And not only that, Ronnie explained to her mother once again that India is the fertile land for him to build up his career, to get a certain kind of position in the government level. England is not the fertile land. He will not be able to build up his career in England properly. So he has to follow the orders of the superior British officers here to build up his career in India. India is the best place, according to him, to build up the career of an individual. And Ronnie Haslop has been doing this. But Mrs. Moore was not convinced at all by the decision of her son to build up his career in this way. And she again and again advises her son to be generous, to be humanitarian to the underprivileged people in India. To Mrs. Moore, India is very dismal, indisciplined, and chaotic place. And according to her, the British colonial rule is mainly responsible for this. And she has not seen any particular development in the city of Chandrapur at all. Only the English area where the English people living, the quarters of the English officers are neat and clean and built up in a very aesthetic manner. But other places are not so enchanting. No, not a minimum beautification she has found in Chandrapur. And E.M. Forster has selected this city as the actions of the place of this novel. And there is a particular reason, as the critics say, that there is a historical place which has been located, 21 kilometers from Chandrapur. This name of this place is Maravar Caves. It is located in the district of Jahanabad of Bihar. And because of the existence of Maravar Caves, Chandrapur has got a particular importance as a city, otherwise not. Since Maravar Caves is a historical place, people from different parts of India and even from different parts of the world who have got special interest in historical sites come here to visit the Maravar Caves. According to historical documents, Maravar Caves was situated or constructed during the time of Maurya Empire. The distinction of this cave is that if anybody creates a sound inside the cave, a peculiar echo is created, and this echo originates a claustrophobia, a kind of hallucination to any individual, and this hallucination creates a certain kind of sense that the whole world is running after a certain kind of disorder. And this is a certain kind of characteristic of the Maravar Caves. Every year, people from different parts of India as well as from different parts of the world usually come to visit Maravar Caves. And in that Maravar Cave, there is an incident, very unpleasant incident, taking place between Dr. Aziz and Adela Quested, which created a climax of this novel. And critics say that it is only the existence of Maravar Cave. E.M. Forster has selected Chandrapur, the city, as the actions of this novel. Another character, Adela Quested, is a very interesting character. She is a young lady. Though she has got a special interest in India, she does not have any idea about Indian people, any preoccupied sense about India. When she comes India, she is quite dissatisfied to see everything. Whether he is humanitarian or not, this is not the question. But she is not matured enough to understand the minds of the Indian people. The prejudices are still acted in her mind, and that is why, out of misunderstanding, she has filed a case against Dr. Aziz, which created the climax of this novel, and which once again proved that friendship between the Indian and the British is not possible at all. And another two characters are very important in this novel. One is Mr. Turton, the Chief Executive Officer of Chandrapur. That is, he is the collector. Collector is like the SDO, subdivisional officer, and he is responsible for the execution of the administration of India. Turton is a man of peculiar character. I say he has been typical British in his attitude, in his outlook and everything. But as a collector, he feels the importance of engulfing the difference between the natives and the British. And that is why he arranged a bridge party in order to make in order to make the relation easier between the British and the people of Chandrapur. But in the eyes of Mrs. Moore, Professor Fielding, and Adela Quested, the bridge party has been a complete failure one. It cannot exactly make any sort of relationship, a better relationship between the native people and the British. Rather, it creates the differences because of the unusual attitude and behavior of Mrs. Stratton. She is a very typical English lady. She does not know how to entertain the guests properly. Indian women came to this party were found quite dissatisfied. And not only that, Mrs. Stratton's attitude is that she knows much more than any other Indian lady. But the fact is that there are several Indian ladies living in Chandrapur who are superior in respect of knowledge and wisdom than Mrs. Stratton. Another character is Mr. Calendar, and his wife, Mrs. Calendar, is another interesting character. They're the typical Britishers, and Mr. Calendar is known as a rude, crude officer to the people of Chandrapur. As a civil surgeon, as a physician, he should have a soft mentality to deal with the patients, to deal with his subordinates, but he was not so. Dr. Aziz was quite dissatisfied with his behavior, and Mr. Calendar, in this novel, we will find when we will discuss it in the coming days, you will find that Aziz is quite dissatisfied. Aziz is called very frequently, now and then, to the office without any sort of reason. And Dr. Aziz and other junior officers working in junior medical officers working in Chandrapur Government Medical College are found quite dissatisfied with their boss, Mr. Calendar, who is the civil surgeon of Chandrapur Government Hospital. These are the main English characters E.M. Forster has created for his novel. But other minor characters from the English society we have found in this novel, but they are not so important to be discussed here. But when I'll give a lecture on the summary of this novel, then I'll bring these minor characters which they play in this novel. I'll discuss it. Thing is that this novel has carried a certain kind of weight, as I told you in my last lecture, because this novel has given a very colorful picture, very understandable picture of an individual, understandable picture to everybody else, to understand the picture of the British rule in India. And in the next class, I'll discuss the subject, I'll discuss the summary of this novel, which should be understood by the learners so that they can make answer of their questions in the examination. Before ending my speech, I'd like to tell something about the present situation of the world. You know that COVID-19, the dangerous and monstrous virus, has made the human life all over the world paralyzed. And we, the teachers community, have been trying our level best to overcome this situation. We are working, we are showing our tenacity to continue our education program to the learners facing this sort of catastrophic situation. Once again, I'd like to felicitate and express my gratitude to the administration of our college, particularly our Honorable Principal, Professor Sir Zafar Ali. He has already attended several meetings, more than 3 meetings with us, especially with the chairman of different departments, as well as with the common teachers, in order to expedite the education program so smoothly, so that the learners, wherever they are located and situated in this pandemic situation, can get their learning properly to get preparation for the coming exam. And I believe that the government of Bangladesh, especially the Minister of Education, will take several steps in the coming days so that we can overcome this sort of catastrophic situation very soon. We, the teachers, are committed and determined to bring a very normal situation, especially in the educare field. Thank you very much. Next week, I will talk to you about the summary of this novel, A Passage to India by E.M. Forster.